Hello everyone, so today I wanted to look at my picks for the 2020 World Cup player of the tournament, and I'm going to look both at player of the tournament nominations and eventually at my 11, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my best 11 players and then I'm going to just make an 11 out of them. I might make some adjustments out of them, but I'm not doing it necessarily in batting order or in batting position, because I sort of have the view that batsmen can usually bat any spot in the order, like 1 to 6 or so, and it should be really quite interchangeable, especially in the shorter formats. So I don't really think there's a need to have a specialist openers. We've seen non-specialist openers do really well. I mean, for example, Pakistan has Babar Azab, who normally bats at about 3 or 4 opening, along with Mohammad Rizwan, the wicketkeeper, who normally bats at 7. And they're opening and they're doing really well. I believe they're the top openers in World 2020 cricket, number 1 and number 2 batsmen. So, you certainly don't need a specialist openers. We do have specialist openers in some countries, but it's not essential, and so I'm not going to worry about that sort of thing. I'm just going to look at my best 11 players. So without further ado, I'm going to do this, and this is roughly in order what I believe are the best player through to the worst. Well, not through the worst, through to the 11th best. So I'm going to start off with a player that got 4 Man of the Match awards, which was the most of anyone, and that is Sikandar Raza of Zimbabwe. In my opinion, objectively, he was the player of the tournament. All due respect to Sam Curran, I'm going to be mentioning Sam Curran a bit later on. Sam Curran was not as good as Sikandar Raza. Sikandar Raza carried his team, and sometimes it's a lot harder when the rest of your team are not performing and when your team is not really one of the top teams, but he managed to get wins, best batsman and best bowler for his team, and scored a lot of runs at a very good rate, and took a lot of wickets. Absolute walk-up star. And he's a bit of an all-rounder, a spin bowling all-rounder, so anywhere from about 5 to 7 or 8. So I'm going to work out where he's batting later on, but he's in my side, somewhere in the middle. And number 2 would be, I'm going to put Surya Kumar Yadav from India. He was clearly the best batsman of the tournament from any side. Strike rate of 189 and the second most runs out of anyone. He's absolutely incredible, and you just have to pick him in this 11. And look, he was very close to winning, or he should have been very close to winning the player of the tournament, and I would suggest that had he won the final, he would have been given it, because that's how it works. If you win the final, someone from your team invariably gets the player of the tournament. It's a bit unfair, but that's just how it works. So anyway, he's my number 2 pick. My number 3 is Hasaranga De Silva. Now, he was not in the 11, which I think is a disgrace. He was the leading wicket taker and also a very good batsman. And I'd probably put him just behind Sikandar Raza, around about 6 or 7 in the order normally. So, that's how we're going. Oh, I didn't really put a batting spot for Surya Kumar Yadav. He's batting somewhere in the top order. So anywhere from sort of 1 to 6. We'll work that out later. There's no reason why I can't open if we need to. Now, so that's the first 3. Still no Sam Curran. So I'm going to pick the best bowler of the tournament, and that is Anrich Nortje. Now, that was South Africa's far and away their best player. He had some amazing bowling. Even during their loss, he had the best bowling performance of the tournament from any player in their loss to the Netherlands. And he just stood head and shoulders above the rest of the team, and is an easy person to put in there. Very low economy rate, lots of wickets, very cheaply, just amazing bowler, and of course our fast bowler. So you got our best batsman, best bowler, best all-rounder, highest wicket taker. There you go. Wow. And now we have Sam Curran. Now, I'm still putting Sam Curran in our top 5. So he's my number 5 player. He did do well with very economic spells. He had moments where he wasn't bowling so well. That's why I'm putting him behind Nortje. But certainly in the final, he did really well. Of course, his team were doing well, so therefore that diminishes his performance a little bit. But he deservedly was the player of the match in the final. I'm not saying he was deservedly the player of the tournament. I think we're sort of biasing a bit in favour of the team that happened to win the tournament. But nonetheless, I think on merit, I've got him in my top 5. He's number 5 for me. Next one on the list, I think, is Glenn Phillips. Now, New Zealand had a really good run, and I know they were knocked out in the semi-finals, but Glenn Phillips was clearly their star player. Against Sri Lanka, he had an amazing performance. He got a century out of a score of about 160, and you know, he was just really good. Again, I'm not saying where I'm putting him, anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6. He's a top order batsman, and I think that's how I'm going to say it. I'm going to say top order, middle order, tail. So he's a top order. So now I've got 6. My number 7. Now I'm going to put Shaheen Shah Afridi for this one. Now I think he was probably the second best bowler after Unrich Nortje, and he did a really good job. It was telling that when he fell injured in the final, that was the end of Pakistan's chances. Pakistan were behind before he got injured, but they were in with a chance, and then he was injured and that was it. So, and I think there's no bigger mark of how, where you've got a star player when that happens and the match is pretty much over the next ball. And I think he could have won it for Pakistan. It was unlikely, but he was certainly a star player and he did really, really well. So he's my number 7. Now, there's 7. Who else would I consider? Oh, it's getting a bit tough there. I'm probably going to pick Marcus Stoinis here. Now, I know Australia didn't make the semi-finals, but they were close. They finished 3rd in their group, and he was clearly a very, very good performer. Batted really well, actually bowled really well too, at a great strike rate. And I think it's good to have a bowling all-rounder that bowls pace, gives a few more options. I'll probably put him in the top order somewhere 1 to 6, and so he's my number 8. My number 9 now, still getting a bit tricky to work out who I should have and who I shouldn't at this stage. So I'm going to have Shadab Khan. Now, this is a little bit risky because we've already got those 2 spin bowling all-rounders. Now we've got a 3rd spin bowling all-rounder, but they're all able to bat a bit, and I think that gives a bit of flexibility. Had a great series for Pakistan, mostly with the ball, but also a little bit with the bat, and some of his batting performances helped to win matches. So I'm putting him in there just barely. Now we've got our really tough decision. So a wicket keeper. Now, I could go for Quinton de Kock, and I have considered him, and I could go for Jos Buttler, and it's a little bit of a toss-up. Which one do I go with? They're both batted really well, both had high strike rates and lots of runs, and I think Quinton de Kock kept wicket a bit better, so I am going to go with Quinton de Kock. It is a close run thing, and I know ICC have got Jos Buttler in there, but I think I'd rather have a proper wicket keeper, and they're batting, we're not really losing anything in the batting stakes, so I'm having Quinton de Kock there. And my final position, so I'm down, I've got 10 now, I'm having one more. Need another batsman, do I? Or do I need another bowler? So I think it's a pretty tough one to pick, but I think I might just go with Harris Ralph. Now, I know that is a little bit controversial, but look, he was a fantastic bowler. I think our batting lineup is deep enough there that we can play him. But yeah, I think he had a really good tournament. So I'm going to have a little look there, because I'm not sure about that last one about the Harris Ralph. So my openers would be Quinton de Kock, and I would probably put, or maybe Marcus Stoinis in to open with. He has opened before. I'm going to put him in there. My number 3, I'm putting Kumar Yadav. I know he was batting at 4. I'm putting him at 3. And my number 4, I'm probably going to go with Glenn Phillips. Again, he's a top order batsman. Number 5, Sikandar Raza. He was often batting at 5. Number 6, Shadab Khan. Number 7, Hasaranga de Silva. Number 8, Sam Curran. Number 9, Shaheen Shah Afridi. Now number 10 Harris Ralph and number 11 Unrich Nortajay. Now in that lineup I have 4 pace bowling options and 3 spin bowling options. That's 7 options for bowling. And you have a lot of flexibility. That's the same setup that England had. They had 7 bowling options. And I also will bat, well, pretty much down to number 9 with Shaheen Shah Afridi having a few big hits at different stages. Harris Ralph and Unrich Nortajay can't bat very well, but that's okay. Now, I did consider Virat Kohli as well. I think he was pretty close to making it, but didn't quite give it to him. As for Alex Hales and Josh Buttler, it's hard to separate the two. I think you have to put either both of them in or neither, and I think I'm in the end gone with neither. I also could have considered Max O'Dowd from the Netherlands. He was actually the second highest run scorer of the tournament, but his strike rate was a bit low, and I think in 2020 cricket you have to have that good strike rate if that's all you're doing, if all you're doing is batting. So I'm not including him. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good lineup. I certainly thought it was a bit of a mistake for Sam Curran to win Player of the Tournament, just because his team happened to win the final. He was deserving Player of the Match though. And I thought he was probably England's best player for the tournament, but yeah, I think it's almost like we look at the final, we see who won, give them the Player of the Tournament award, and then put more of their players in the team. And I don't think we really should do that. Should be more on merit, and I think on merit he wasn't quite there. Arshdeep Singh was another one that some people considered instead of Harris Ralph. I could have put him in there, I haven't. And Hardik Pandya I also thought was doing quite well. He's not too far off it. There were a lot of players that were there or thereabouts. You could easily put an argument for quite a different team than I did. Anyway, that's my team. Let me know what you think. Bye bye.